Hello, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to share about our Master of Construction Management program with you all, as well as about the enrollment process and application process here at New School. I'm John Gonzalez. I'm an enrollment specialist here at New School. I assist students through the application and enrollment process, and as well as give them information on our programs here. And I'll share a little bit more about application and enrollment at the end of this presentation. And two things I wanted to mention really quick. But we'll go ahead and introduce first this amazing man here next to me.
I'm George Welch. I chair the construction management programs here at New School, and I'm looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you to learn a little bit about where we are.
Fantastic. So two things. We do have a question and answer feature here. You will have to type in your questions, and we'll be able to address those at the end. And then also, we would like for you to let us know if you plan on applying for this fall quarter, October 2nd, because it is not too late to apply for this upcoming quarter here. So, but other than that, we're going to go ahead and pass it over to George, who I know is excited to share about his program.
Terrific. Well, I hope you all had a good Labor Day weekend, and we're just kind of getting rearranged here so we can be ready to move forward. But let me tell you a little bit about New School first. New School has been around since 1980 here in San Diego. It's an architecture and design school, and in 2010 we started our undergraduate construction management program. And in 2011 we started our Masters of Construction Management program. So we've been here for a while, but I want you to know that one of the things about New School that's very interesting is we are a combination of architects and designers and construction managers. And the construction management program is really focused on the buildings that architects design and implementing those designs, taking them from the concepts to the reality that we see in the world. So our president, Marvin Malika, has been with us now for almost 2 years. And as a leader, he has really been a beneficial force in our school. And so one of his statements that you can see on the screen right now is that he believes that as architects and designers, we have a special way of seeing the world. And what we do with that special way of seeing is really valuable to the rest of the world. So because of the way that our program is structured in the master's program, we end up having architects and construction, people with construction degrees, people without construction degrees together in these classes as we go forward. So our purpose here at New School, our mission is to nurture and inspire design-minded students. And when we talk about design-minded, we mean people who are willing to look at things differently. We do spend a great deal of time working on the design thinking process, which is different than the scientific or the business or the engineering model of problem solving. And it's through that difference that we produce a very qualified graduate that's capable of being an integral part of the construction team. We offer degrees here in architecture and in construction management, as well as design. And that design elements is interior architecture, product design, as well as media design. So our philosophy is rooted in the design thinking that I was just talking about. We really focus on preparing for practice, and almost all of our work is done in project-based learning. So while the program we're talking about is online, you will still be working with other people and teams to do projects for each of the different classes. So our curriculum is built on 4 educational pillars: preparation for practice, international reach, sustainability, and urban engagement. You're looking at a picture of my undergraduate class last week when we went to visit one of the job sites right across the street from the school here. And our curriculum being built on this whole issue of preparation for practice. Many of our faculty members are actually currently involved in design and in construction management and come and teach some of the courses. In the master's program, all of our instructors, our faculty, are well-educated, highly degreed individuals who will lead the process in your classrooms. So we're award-winning as well. New School has had several experiences in student competition. We'll talk about that a little bit further on, but we have recently been named as the #2 school in the online master's programs for construction management. It's a very nice accolade to have collected. As a school totally, we are WASC accredited, meaning that the Western Association of Schools and Colleges is our regional accreditor. And they accredit the entire institution. We also have programmatic accreditations for the architecture programs here. And we are working towards accreditation renewals. So we just completed our NAAB accreditation and received the highest term that can be awarded under the accreditation process. So we mentioned on the screen here, you'll see the ASC student competition. ASC is the Associated Schools of Construction. And these are the schools who teach construction all over the United States. The ASC is split up into 7 regions, and we've had the privilege of taking first place 3 out of the last 5 years in the student competition. We also have faculty and other students in the architecture programs, as well as the design programs that have been award-winning and very successful. So another thing that's very important is we understand that the education you are seeking is most often tied to enhancing your career. Our career services department is very proactive in helping our students to develop their resume, to develop their interviewing techniques and skills, and to be able to build those networking capabilities that so often are necessary to lead to a job placement. Overall, as a school, we're at the 88% job placement within 6 months of graduation. In the construction management program, we are a little bit better than that. We run almost 100% in both our undergraduate and our graduate programs. We're located in San Diego, which is really an interesting and wonderful city. We always think about how wonderfully cool and comfortable it is, although this last weekend we were in the mid-hundreds as we were enjoying the heat. But San Diego is a beautiful city. What's great about it is it's an active zone of construction. We have construction in, well, when I look out of my office window, I can see about 12 cranes that are on sites that are within walking distance of the school. And that really helps us to not only teach what's happening today, but teach the concepts and philosophy that you need for the future. The MTM program is 100% online. So those of you who are on the presentation today, if you live in the San Diego area, you can still keep working full-time. If you live elsewhere, you can keep working full-time. And the advantage is that you will be working with people and learning the asynchronous method of communication. We'll talk a little bit about that more. But our program is really structured on, well, I've said it several times to people. If I was to rename it today, I think I would rename this master's program the Masters of Management and Construction, because we really deal with how are you going to lead the teams of people who do the construction management process. Let's see, I just lost my screen. There it is. Our mission statement in this program is very clear. We nurture ethical, design-sensitive construction managers who will lead positive change in the built environment industry. Now, our programs are based on leadership and management and analysis and evaluation, as well as feasibility. But if you look at the program learning outcomes that we list here for our program, I'm not going to read each one of them to you, but planning, organization, execution, technologies, the logistics that underlie our systems, understanding the financial and managerial issues that take place to be a leader in this industry, understanding how the legal and economic and social relationships come together between both the contractors, the building trades, and our regulatory environment, analyzing how the issues of cost and safety are really critical, and then applying global, ethical, and sustainable perspectives to our construction management knowledge. That's the focus of our program, and each of our modules matches up to these program learning outcomes as we go through our course learning outcomes. Well, let's just talk a little bit about the industry. I mean, what is a construction manager? What are the employment opportunities? Because that's very important. Is this really a significant industry? And is this program viable for international students? Let's take these one at a time. Well, what is a project manager, a construction manager? This is an issue that you're going to talk about your whole life. And Michelle, would you be able to click on this for me so we can start this little video? Very good. Everyone seems to know what an architect is. And most people understand what a tradesperson is. But they don't realize that there's a person in the middle that's called the construction manager. And this construction manager is someone who protects the owner's interest while leading a team of specialists and trades in completing the owner's design. So I kind of sometimes equate it to the conductor in an orchestra. You don't need to know how to play every instrument, but you need to lead the people who do to bring together a proper conclusion. So what are the employment opportunities? This is an interesting thing because the Association of General Contractors did a survey this past year that looked at some of these key elements. So one of the first things is how many of your firm's workforce challenges are in trouble filling salaried or hourly positions. 88% of the firms responded that they're having a tough time finding the people to fill those positions. Trouble filling the hourly positions, those are about 79%. And no trouble filling positions at all, only 14% of the industry. If your firm is having trouble filling these key professional positions, which positions are the most trouble? And as you can see on this presentation, it's the project managers and supervisors, the estimating professionals, and the engineers who are the toughest positions that they have to fill. Well, our program really deals with the tools and skills that are necessary for the project manager and supervisors, as well as the quality control professionals and the estimating professionals. How would you rate the overall quality of the local pipeline? And this is, okay, so who's providing people that I'm going to hire in the future? And this is really a significant issue. When we look at the salary professionals are on the blue bars here, and the reds are the hourly craft people. So right now, poor, below average, that's 50% of the respondents are saying we're having a hard time making sure that the pipeline has enough people in it for us to be able to hire in the future. For the salaried professionals, you'll see that we're talking about 20, 40, almost 60% are average or below in being able to fill that pipeline for their future needs. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. If your firm is losing people to other suppliers, what's causing it? So if you look, once again, the red is the hourly craft people, and the blue are the salaried professionals. And if you see, there are 21, 34, almost 69, almost 70% of the firms are responding that they're losing craft people to other firms. And if we're looking at the professionals, you're looking at close to 45% are losing those professionals. So that means there's an undersupply of people who are prepared to step into those roles. This is from ENR's issue of their magazine on August 31st. Construction employment added 28,000 jobs during the month of August, accounting for almost 20% of all of the new jobs nationwide. And I'm going to read this quote from the economist at the ABC, is that demand for construction workers continues to expand despite occasional dips emerging from the monthly statistics. But accordingly, construction firms are increasing their scramble rate to find employees, driving up hourly compensation. Leading indicators suggest that overall construction activity will continue to expand during the month ahead, and moreover, these recent activities in Texas and Louisiana imply that the negative trends in non-residential construction spending will be reversed as rebuilding commences. All very interesting things to relate to what's going to happen to the future in our industry. There's a site called ONET Online, and I've provided a link here on this slide for you, and we will be sending you the slide deck so you'll be able to use these links. But this is the link to the construction manager page in ONET Online. You'll see that they're looking at 7,000 jobs countrywide being available over the next 9 to 10 years. 7,000 a year. In California, we're looking at 1,500 of those. So almost 20% are happening in California. This is another way to look at that. This is the percentage of firms that are percentage of states that are adding construction manager jobs. And so you look at the top 5, you've got California, Texas, Florida, New York, Colorado are some of the top firms that are looking to add this many additional construction managers between now and 2024. We also looked at the wages for construction managers in California because I think it's important. Our bachelor's students would be in our low category, which according to ONET Online, that average would be about $55,000 here in California. Factually, our group that graduated last June, the average for our undergraduate students was $63,000 a year. So our median would be about $97,000, and you can see that our more experienced managers who'd be out there would be in the $170,000 range. So these jobs are good jobs, and as I showed on this list, there's quite a few of them coming up. So it's really a very good industry to be in education for right now. So a couple other things on the demographics. In 2012, at the Construction Management Association annual meeting in Washington, D.C., they presented the fact that over the next 10 years, 40% of the industry's leadership is going to be gone. And that's because during the downturn from 2008 to 2014, many of the people who left were in the middle management level. And those people ended up changing careers. Many of the people who stayed were the older leaders of the firms who had interest in the ownership of the firms. And because of that, 17% of us are now over 60 years old, and 23% more are over 55. That 40% will be gone over the next 10 years and needs to be replaced with new people in the succession planning line. Our master's program is designed to educate this next generation of leaders. So that's what our employment opportunities look like. Is this really a significant industry? Well, it is an industry that builds communities that serve people. It's vast. It touches the lives of everybody. It's been around for a long time. It's a very old profession. And it has evolved over time from a craft to an industry. It's also a significant impact on the global economy. This last year, I think our global domestic product was about $72 trillion, and construction made up 4.5 trillion of that. So in the United States, it is about 1.2 trillion is spent in the United States, which means the balance of it is spent worldwide. So the opportunities for work are all over the globe. In the US alone, the construction industry employs over 7 million people. And it gives rise to the steel industry, the lumber industry, the carpet industry, the paving industry, and many other ancillary industries such as furniture, cabinetry, and things like that, that all are there to fill in our systems. This industry is larger than the automobile and steel industries added together. And one of the things that I go through a lot in the classes that I teach is that housing starts is one of the most important economic indicators that we deal with that tells us the overall health of the economy. Because as our population grows, we need to have housing. This is a look at the chart for housing starts from 1960 to 2017. If you put a trend line on it between 1960 and 2008, you'd see that we average about 1.4 million housing starts a year. Each of the gray bars that are vertical on this screen are recessions that have occurred in the industry. Well, have occurred in the economy, actually. And you can see the effect of a recession in the economy on our industry. 2008 to 2012 was one of the worst periods in the construction industry because housing starts was at a peak of almost 2.2 million starts and dropped to rebalance down to a little under 600,000 starts a year. We are now just in the last month, we hit the 1.3 million in housing starts, which puts us back almost to the natural normal trend line. But due to this really large dip in construction, we are very much behind in providing housing for our growing population. When we look at housing starts based on population, this is looking at the number of people who are in the United States and dividing the housing starts by the number, by the millions of people. We have 333 million people in the United States right now. And the rate per 1,000 people is we are only, per million people, is we are only just now touching 4,000 starts per million people. Now, some numbers for San Diego County. I know we need about 12,500 new housing units per year to meet the growth that's happening in San Diego County. We're growing between 35 and 45,000 people per year, which means we need that 12,000 to 12,500 housing units. During this period from 2008 till this most recent set of numbers, we've only been producing 4,500 housing units. So we are about 45,000 housing units behind what we need to meet the demand of our population. So the industry is also broadly based. There's about 88,000 construction companies. And this includes the large firms with hundreds of people or thousands of people down to the fellow who has his own truck and works as a subcontractor. About 1.6 million individuals own construction companies. And this year's number is $1.2 trillion worth of construction is the pace at which we're putting construction into place in the United States right now. Construction managers have a broad base of functions. And you'll find that the opportunity to work as a construction manager runs throughout the entire range of industry. We're looking at the construction manager needs to know how to estimate, how to administer the contract documents once the project is awarded. They have to manage that job site and the construction operations that take place in the field. They have to monitor the project performance to make sure that they're on track and on budget. They manage the project quality and the safety, and they are always assessing project risks. And these are all crucial tasks that we teach. Now, we get into them deeper in our bachelor's program than we do in the master's program, because remember, in the Master's of Management and Construction, I'm focusing on you learning how to manage the people who do these tasks. You're going to lead these teams. Now, if you don't have experience in this yet, you'll probably come in and practice some of these particular skills, but then ultimately you should be working towards the management roles that exist in our industry. So the next question is this program viable for international students? Well, I think it really is, and I think this little, it's really designed to develop professionals for advanced construction management practice based on what we feel is a strong interdisciplinary foundation of architecture, business management, and leadership. And you notice leadership has a capital L here because leadership is a key element that we focus on in this program. Let's see. Here's a little thing that I'd like you to see. And this goes to that question of, does this work for international? You need to click the one down below. There you go. You could be a construction manager working in San Diego with an architect working in New York City, while your engineer is in Mumbai and your modeler is in Vietnam. And you can all be working on a project that's being built in China. So this is not an industry where you're going to always sit around the same table with people. So understanding that you need to be able to develop your asynchronous working skills is a really important part of this master's program, because we offer this program and we deliver it in an asynchronous way. So you could have classmates that are all over the country or all over the globe with your faculty member in Atlanta, Georgia, or sometimes we've had faculty in Kazakhstan who've been teaching these courses, and you're going to be working with them in an asynchronous model. So we deliver this program via the Blackboard facility, and it's delivered in 8 modules. So there's 2 courses you can take each quarter, and you would take those and finish this project in 12 months. Now, I want to be clear is that we offer all 8 modules each quarter. So you can proceed at the pace of 2 modules a quarter. If you needed to step back for a quarter because work got too busy, you could drop down to 1 course, and then you can pick it up and finish the pace the next quarters. So about 70% of our graduates have done it in 12 months, meaning they've taken 2 courses a quarter for 4 quarters. Now, because we offer the courses each quarter, you can start any quarter of the year. So our next start is October 2nd. And I encourage those of you who are interested, now's the time to get in, because if you think about it, this time next year you'd be graduate and you'd be done with the program. Now, many of our graduates have done this program while they're working full-time. And I don't want to say that it's easy to do these courses, because you're going to find you're going to spend between 15 and 18 hours a week on each module. So as Paul Montgomery, who was one of my first graduates, said when I asked him, so how did it go? And he says, oh man, I feel like I ran a marathon. But then he looked at me and he said, you know, I feel like I ran a marathon. And the accomplishment of knowing that he completed his master's degree in 12 months was palpable. You could just see how pleased he was with that. So it can be done. And the great thing about it is you can earn while you learn. So that's really an important element in our program. You do not have to quit your job and go to some school for 2 years to get a master's degree in construction management. These are the 8 course modules that we offer. We typically have you take one course with a 0 in it and one course with a 5 each quarter. So the most common start would be you'd learn about current practices in construction management while taking the course in advanced project delivery systems. Then you'd have implementing building modeling while you take commercial design and construction methods. Then emerging trends in project management is a really crucial course that's tied in with taking leadership challenges in construction management. And then getting into project feasibility and cost controls. These are elements that are really crucial for protecting the client's interest. And then all of this comes together in your capstone project integration, where you will work with your team and produce a complete project execution plan for the program. Analyze, evaluate, leadership. These are key words that come from the syllabi of our courses. These are the word cloud that says, what are we looking to do? And I think you'll find that in our courses, we don't have courses named estimating, scheduling, project management. We have these courses as integrated delivery. So these subjects are taught within these modules, and they're taught in a way where you're not only learning about the topic, but you're learning how it processes together with the other skills in order to be able to produce team projects. So our focus is not on software. While you do need to have a good computer because you're going to be online, and you need to have your software such as Office Suite so that you've got Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. We don't spend a lot of time teaching you software. We will have you pick up Autodesk offers for all of our students with an EDU email. They allow you to download their most current software, and in your managing models, you'll use that current software as a manager of people who design and use those tools. But we teach you the methodologies, the knowledge, the process, and the analysis that you need in order to use tools that have yet been created, okay? So that's what our focus is in this program. And we found it to be very successful in producing quality graduates that are capable of succeeding. Now, I mentioned early on that we were an award-winning program, and I wanted you to see the faces of some of our team. Oh, there's this one old guy in all these pictures. We'll have to fix that. But each of these teams has competed at the ASC student competition and won in the first place in the design build problem there. So our teams, all of these students have gone on to really great internships in their final years, as well as great careers with some of the top companies. One of the other things that happens at our ASC student competition is it turns into the biggest job fair on steroids. And because of our success, all of the firms that recruit at Reno are familiar with new school graduates. So it is a great thing that helps you to build your knowledge as well as the knowledge the industry has of you as a student who graduates from new school. In fact, this past year, we had 11 major construction companies who came and scheduled presentations here on campus and then interviewed students right here while they were finishing up. And you can see the list of names of those companies. They run from the largest international to local firms here in San Diego. So I'm going to let John come on over and join us again, and he's going to walk you through the application review process. And I'm going to speak off to the side.
Thank you, George, so much. So yeah, I'm John Gonzalez, I'm an enrollment here at Learning Enrollment Specialist, and I love and enjoy guiding students through the enrollment process here. Definitely want to spend some time going over what you can do in order to enroll or the application process here at new school. once again, I would like to repeat that if you are interested in this fall quarter, to let us know in the chat box. Go ahead and shoot us a message. Let us know if you're interested in that. So the application process begins with our online application. It's very, very short. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. And the link is right there for you to check it out. There is an application fee, however, by attending this webinar, which once again, we're so excited that you were able to join us, that fee will be waived for you. So along with those items, we would like to see your undergraduate transcript with proof that you finished your program, completed your bachelor's degree, and then we also look for a cumulative GPA with 2.7. If you landed below the 2.7 mark, we still welcome you to apply. You're still more than welcome to apply. There's some additional steps that go along with it, but once again, we'll still be more than happy to help you with the application process here.
Could I sneak in and ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Stay in there. Is that application fee waiver for people who are planning to start this fall, or is it to anyone who's attended this this webinar?
For this fall.
For this fall.
Thank you for asking that.
Okay, good.
Yes.
That's another good reason to get started now.
So yes, specifically
save
for
the
this fall.
fee and graduate a year from it. Excellent.
Yes. Thank you. And so we also, once again, require you to submit a statement of purpose, which we have promised as well online, and we can also send you those. We also require a resume. We love to see your work and your experience. So George definitely would love to see that. And if you are international applicants as well, TOEFL exam or the IELTS is also required, and we have the scores that are needed. So. And of course, what's really important, we understand that finances are always a major determining factor when choosing a college. And so this is how much the program would cost. This is for the entire program. It's before any scholarships or aid is applied. So that $29,746 amount is before we've explored any scholarships, any kind of government loans, aid options, and whatnot that we can help to see how we can reduce the cost. Books and supplies, and then on-campus room and board. This is an online program, so it will be offered. We have a phenomenal financial aid department here that does work closely with students to help them explore what avenues of aid that apply to them. We have industry partner scholarships, so if you work in the industry, we can explore those options. Of course, loan options, we can help you with that as well. Government aid. We're yellow ribbon as well, so if any students have any kind of military benefits, we would love to be happy to assist them with that as well as new school scholarships, which are based on GPA. So once again, our financial aid department loves guiding students through those details to help see how we can make a plan to help a student afford to continue school. There's also some links there as well. And that's me, that's my information. You're welcome to call or email me anytime. Once again, I love helping students. I love assisting professionals and students through the process here. So don't be shy. Shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm more than happy to help in any way I can.
Perfect. Michelle, I'm sure you've got probably 100 questions.
We got quite a few questions.
Oh my goodness.
Some of these we definitely addressed, but it wouldn't be bad to go over and revisit them. So
okay.
There's a lot of questions. There's a list for sure.
All right. How is MTM program different at New School? What are some of the jobs that your alumni have gone on to after graduation? Well, it's interesting because what's different about our program than many of the other programs is a lot of the other Masters of Construction Management programs focus on a deeper dive into what you learn as an undergraduate. What we found out when we were doing our research for this school was that there's a lot of people in our industry who do not come with a building sciences degree, undergraduate degree. And there's people who are English majors, there's people who are finance majors, there are people who are working in the industry. I mean, one of my superintendents who I kind of wrote the program for was a fellow by the name of Kevin, who graduated from Notre Dame with a bachelor's degree in humanities. And he was one of the best superintendents we ever had. So a lot of these modules I wrote thinking about him and how his people skills were really the key to his success in the industry. So now what kind of jobs have people gone on to? We've had people who have taken small firms where they've gone in and become people who've done it, who had an architectural background, who have gone in and taken over the field coordination responsibilities within an architectural office. We've had people who were a project manager for a company who are now a regional director that's overseeing the construction operations for a firm in 3 states. We had one of our civil engineers in the Navy who took our master's course while they were in their, I forget the current rank that he was at, but during every rank in the Navy, you have to get an additional education module. And he moved from Coronado here to the Chief Naval Officer's office as his next place. So throughout our construction industry, people are getting jobs at many different levels. If you haven't had field experience, most companies will probably put you into the field to begin with in order to understand and learn the processes that you're going to be managing. So let's see. That's how we're different. What are some of the main concepts that MTM students learn in the program? I'm going to focus that as leadership, leadership. I think all of those are really good things that we focus on, because while buildings are built out of steel and concrete and wood, they are built by people. And we lead teams of people, whether they're designers or tradespeople or engineers or owners. We have to lead the process by which they complete the building. So New School prides itself on the fact that we are a human-centered design facility. We focus not only on the needs of the human, but the fact that we have to work together in order to accomplish so much. So I think that's one of the things that we don't get deep into engineering, because as a construction manager, you're not allowed to do engineering. It's illegal. So we're going to teach you what you need to know about engineering so you can communicate with the engineers you need to work with, so that they can do the jobs that they need to do, and you can coordinate their work with the other members of the team. What type of student do you look for? I always look for good students. So we look for people who are interested in making that next step. They either have the training in the industry, but need to be able to move up in order to get into management. Or they don't have the training in the industry, and they need to have that entree that allows them to come in and be able to be a contributing part of the team that does these projects. Is construction management an international industry, one with global opportunities? I love the fact that there's $4 trillion being spent every year, and 1.2 trillion of it's in the United States. That means, 3.3 trillion is not in the United States. That's everywhere else in the world. And so companies that have recruited our students, like Balfour Beatty, has 55,000 employees worldwide. You can work with them in any location. Some of our graduates have been hired here in San Diego and have ended up working in Boston and in other projects around the States. They also have the opportunity to take international assignments if they so choose. Now, for our international students, it's important to understand there are countries that work off of the United Kingdom systems of architecture where the construction manager isn't an actively known role, because the architect has always had the responsibility to protect the owner's interests from beginning to end. But as more and more international companies are working around the globe, they are actually being engaged with construction managers who are moving into those industries and helping to facilitate the process on a more rapid basis. What type of projects do MCMs work on? I have MCM students who are working on rehabbing homes in Detroit, to people who are working on some of the largest projects in the world. One of our MCM students was engaged by a company that has the responsibility for building a nuclear power plant, okay? We teach nothing on nuclear power, but we teach leadership and management, and those are the skills that he needed. There's the fee waiver. We mentioned the fee waiver before, and that's for people who are planning to start this fall. And I do encourage you, going through the process of acceptance is fairly quick, but we can't do it until you start. And so the sooner you start, the sooner we can be ready for you. And it's one of the things that we do is that school start is October the 2nd, but we make the Blackboard and the training available to your classes will be available to you 4 days before that. And we have a readiness or a student readiness orientation that you can take in the week before classes start. So if you get your applications in now, we can help you be ready for those times.
And when you start the application process, one of us enrollment specialists will reach out to you. We'll guide you through the whole process. Any questions, concerns you have, we'll make sure that we work with you to make sure you're taken care of until we start.
Are there many construction management jobs available in San Diego? As I mentioned, there's about 12 cranes that we see outside the window. In my undergraduate classes where I see the students on a regular basis, all of my fourth-year students are working for companies who have hired them or after their graduation date. All of my third-year students are working as internship for these companies, spending about 15 to 20 hours a week in the field, and they're able to apply their class things. So here in San Diego, there is a demand for good applicants. And I think if you, once again, you've got the reputation that New School has built in our industry that helps to slide your resume to the top of the pile. That's my list of questions. Any more questions? That's it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, George.
Well, it's been enjoyable. If you didn't get the chance to start at the very beginning and joined us a little late, we will be putting this webinar up with a link that will be going out to email to everybody who registered for the program. So the links in the slides that you'll get should be current and active. So you should be able to get at the data that I was showing you before, as well as go right to John's site and click on the application and get started. So we look forward to you continuing on this journey and becoming part of our family here at New School.
Take care. Thank you.